All right, everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. I'm Jacob Zollinger, VP of Operations at ISS, and I'm here to close out our four-part series around tips and tricks for making a really good career plan. So if you missed the parts before this, you can go back and find the prior ones where we talked about the other three core tenets: know yourself, set goals, and know your market. But I said right off the bat, I'd save my favorite for the last, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about the power of networking. Networking really isn't just about connecting with somebody on LinkedIn or giving a card at a trade show or anything like that. It's really about relationship building with somebody in your professional sphere, so to speak, and not just anyone, but those people that could be a relationship that's deep and meaningful. You go fishing with each other on the weekends, you say happy birthday, and you tackle things of a professional nature as well. It could even just be that casual once a year, drop a note on LinkedIn, see how somebody's doing. But this is why we network, right? Is those relationships that we're building over time are super important for you, both personally and professionally, and certainly in ways that open up doors for you to advance your career plan. Inevitably, if you've got a really strong network, you're going to see people in that network go places, find success, and they'll be able to give you insights and advice from their own experience of exactly how to do that. So, how should you network? That's such a great question. And I'll have a slight exaggeration, but there's literally millions of resources out there on how to do this. Personally, I feel like most networking advice is kind of not great. But let's start with like my approach of how I do this, because I think it's super important to remember that networking isn't just about making a connection, it's about building a relationship. But where do we start? First stop, if you're not sure where to go, start with something like LinkedIn. There's a network. It's appropriate for today's digital age. People use it. Messages get responded to pretty quickly. It's full of people in your professional sphere that you may not have access to otherwise. Super easy to navigate, right? And it gives you a ton of tips and trick directly from them of how to make the right connections, who to get a hold of, who you might know, that kind of stuff. But here's really my approach to networking, whether it's on LinkedIn or at a conference, an event, or whatever it is. Number one, be really intentional about your networking. Make sure you're in the right group of people that you want to network with and understand exactly what you're hoping to achieve by networking. Is it simply just to have more connections? Or are you trying to find a new job? Maybe you're looking for somebody to mentor you. Whatever it is, have intent behind your networking. And that kind of lines up really well with my second point about how I network is I want to engage in the right spaces, right? I don't think there's anything in our health and safety profession more powerful for networking than conferences and events that take place all over the country. We talked about that a little bit last time as well, but like things like National Safety Council, offshore wind, the ASSP events, these types of things where you're surrounded by other health and safety professionals, and maybe more importantly, business leaders in the industry specific areas where you're trying to learn more about your profession. They have such a strong network of their own already. That part right there is so important. If you're in the right place with the right intent, the size and power of your network will multiply. And that multiplication factor is really only going to be limited by your willingness to go out and keep doing it. So it's like network with intent and go to the right place. It's pretty easy, right? Well, here's probably the most important thing, but behind that, um, network with intent in the right places. But I recommend strongly that we network with a mindset of giving, not just taking, right? We all know those people who are just there to ask for work, right? Or ask for a job or ask for something, which is totally fair, and not inappropriate at all in a professional setting. But that's not necessarily the best place to start when you're trying to build a meaningful relationship that's going to last the test of time. Um, Networking with the intent to giving advice, giving another connection, or even just giving like a friendly ear for somebody to chew on when they're having a bad day, whatever it is, uh, will give you more opportunity to build those relationships. And there's something that we use in consulting that I think is remarkably true. I learned this at BSI. So if Jessica Allison or somebody's watching this, this came from you. So thank you for this. In consulting, we use this old theory, and it's called 3 gives for a get. This means that as you're out there networking with the intent to give in the right places, you're likely going to find that you have to offer value in a relationship 3 times before the average human is going to be willing to give you any sort of value back, whether that's another point of connection or a job interview opportunity, whatever it is, right? Is that 3 for 1 relationship. I think that's really important as a rule of thumb, right? And just keep that in mind and don't get frustrated. But if genuinely you're out there to learn, offer support, and be a friend, your network is going to take off. And that's really about building and maintaining authentic relationships and connections with people. And that's the whole point of what I think networking really is all about. The last thing I want to talk about, besides networking with intent in the right places and the mindset of giving, being authentic, etc., and this is super important, make sure in your network you have valuable mentors in your network. People who are personally connected to you and invested in your success without anything in it for them. This is hard to find, but they're out there and you can get them. I've been the mentor for people many times over the years, and I have several mentors in my network. Whenever I get stuck, there's a tricky situation I don't know how to navigate, or I'm in uncharted territories. People are asking me to do something I've never done before. I know where I can go to ask for advice. I can go to those people who are my mentors and they can tell me how to handle that difficult situation. I can ask them for their experiences. How do they handle it? Because inevitably they've been there, done that, right? And what do they do in that type of a situation? This is such an important part of your networking approach, not just for your career planning, but even just the day-to-day execution of the job that you've got, or you're going to go and get, or you're going to have the next one down the road. Having a really strong group of mentors, and I mean 2 or 3 at minimum, the more the better, who have been there and done that, and can give you objective, conscientious advice. Can say anything. You can say anything to them. Anything's on the table. Make sure you've got those people in your network. You'll be much stronger because of them, and they'll amplify your network even more. They'll give and you'll give, and it'll be a giving relationship that'll last years and years and pay off dividends. I hope you take that to the bank out of the entire series, is make sure you've got some really strong people who can help you navigate those tricky situations. Thank you so much for joining What's Up Wednesday. That concludes the 4-part series around career development and planning. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.